Well, howdy there. So today I'm going to be talking about two different Captain Ball revolvers, talking about the history. So Captain Ball revolvers are pretty cool. A lot of people think that the single action army was actually the thing that won the West and it was the best thing ever. And yes, it was really good design, it was awesome, and civilians could get their hands on them. Not until about after 1873. Then around 1873 they could get their hands on them, but the military was the main person buying them up, so they couldn't really, the civilian world didn't get them as much until a little bit later. So during the civilian world, these were very common, and cartridge versions of some of these. Now this specific one was not as popular as a bunch of other revolvers. This is the 1861 Navy. Now, I've heard that Custer actually owned a pair of these during the Civil War. I don't know if he used them or not. I don't know. I'm not that big of a Custer, know everything. But this revolver was one of Colt's most favorite ones, the 1861 Navy. It was a 36 caliber revolver. He called it his most beautiful revolver. It was not his most successful revolver, but it was definitely one of his most beautiful revolvers. It has the barrel of an 1860 Army, but it is in 36 caliber. The 60 Army was a 44 caliber, was issued to soldiers during the Civil War, the Union soldiers, and the South did get a little, but only through Texas. Now, these are kind of an example of Union versus Southern. This one would be more common to see in the South. This would be a, what was it again? Danson Sons?
Danson Brothers.
Danson Brothers. Okay. So Danson Brothers would make these as well. Would make copies of the 1851 Navy, which a lot of people know that one was the more popular Captain Ball revolver. Not a lot of people know about it, but it was probably the most popular Wild West gun out there was actually the 1851 Navy. It was more common, more easier to see than the single action army or those other ones, the Schofield and all those guns. The Schofield was military only until 1880s, whenever it came along to more civilian use. You still could see civilians with them in 1870s and stuff, like John Wesley Hardin, I believe, carried them. But the way these work is these are percussion cap and ball, so you have to put it on half cock, and then you'd have to ram down your rounds down into each little chamber. You'd have to ram it down. You'd have to put a percussion cap on each one of these little nipples here. They're called nipples. And this was kind of what made firearms technology really cool during the 1800s, is because this was basically the precursor to metallic cartridges, where they had percussion caps that would cause that. And they used the percussion cap style technology to make metallic cartridges, which would come out later, which I'll talk about that in a different video. But today we're going to focus upon the 1861 Navy and this one. Confederates made copies of the 1851 Navy, and this is a general area. The 1851 Navy was kind of like this, but it would go all the way in the barrel, and it'd be the whole thing. The Confederates made them rounded because they were cheaper and easier to make. So you're going to see in the video as well, where we were shooting black powder revolvers, which would be this one, because this one I messed up and brought the wrong percussion caps to the range. It happens, and luckily my buddy let me shoot his, and I let him shoot my paper cartridges out of it that I loaded from the Guns of the West, and I really highly suggest their paper cartridge kit. It's very good. Be sure and watch the video so you can know exactly how to use it, because it's a little bit confusing. But 36 caliber, both of these are 36 caliber, or 3.75, I believe, is the actual termination that you'd see on like a box. Oh, and also another thing, these are similar to what type of cartridge boxes that they would be issued during the Civil War, and even after the war, civilians would be getting cartridge boxes like this. They could go to a local gunsmith or something, and they would find cartridge boxes like this. They would be open like this. Now this is 3D printed. This is a modern thing. They would back then be made out of wood, but they made this one out of 3D printed materials, so that would be kind of an example of what it would look like. But yeah, it was all 6 rounds there, and then you could shove this back.
All right, shooters, cease fire, cease fire.
Close to 36 caliber.
Go ahead and make
It was probably one of the more popular calibers back then.
Muzzles pointed downrange.
That
Grab
everything was.
targets for anything else you may need and step off the concrete. Do not go downrange just yet. We have to do a safety check. Stand by.
Okay, well, I can take out Ear Pro while we're doing this. So, 36 caliber projectiles were very common, probably one of the more popular, especially in the South. The South loved 36 because it turned out to be deadlier than the 44 cal that everybody was talking about because of the velocity, because it was a smaller round going faster than the 44 cal. The 44 cal was a slower round, not going as fast. It would still kill somebody, it would still do a lot of damage, but the 36 cal was actually more powerful back then in reality. And percussion cap and ball revolvers are pretty cool history.
To grab anything you need off the concrete.
And
cell phones, targets, water.
now the problem with power revolvers, you have to clean them currently. You have to clean them immediately after shooting them. Like when you go home the next day and shoot them, don't expect to shoot them and not have to clean them, because this is not a modern gun. Well, I believe that's just about everything for this video. There's a lot more that I can talk about with other revolvers, but unfortunately I don't have all the time in the world to do that. So goodbye, and like, share, and subscribe.